Well, hello everyone. It is a beautiful day. I mean, a gorgeous day today in the Pacific Northwest in Pacific County. And I'm just decided I'd go out and give this a try. I'm out on the path, so in spite of choosing to wanting to get grounded a little bit, get my feet on the earth, right now I'm on the path, but I got my trusty flip-flops on, so I'll change that real quick. I'm seeing how this works as a modality as opposed to sitting down and trying to collect my thoughts. We'll see how the sound is, the audio. I like to test things before I start doing them. I may test too long sometimes, but it's a preference. I prefer to have my stuff together, have my presentation, have things worked out. Doesn't mean you'll have everything worked out, but it certainly is a worthy goal. It's an objective. You know, that also applies to our situation here with, you know what I'm talking about. We are in a, oh, and just so you know, I can actually see what I'm doing. I hear my phone. It's kind of cool. I'm using my GoPro. So I want to see how this all works. My first time doing this. I look a little ahead there. You can see what I see. To the right is the Willapa River. So and right now it's up, if you will. Tide is in, and this river level goes up and down basically twice a day. You can see it all. There it is right there. Okay. Now the soil right below there to my right is probably pretty wet, so I'm not going to be tiptoeing down there. But that's, in fact, the waters are going out. When we get closer to it, you'll actually see the direction. You might be able to see it now, but it is going out right now. Any rate, oh, we're gonna see. Hi, how you doing? Good. Beautiful day, huh?
It is. Yours is bigger than mine.
Here we go. So the levels, the water levels are still really high, but the direction of the waters are clearly going in the same direction I'm going in. And let's see. All right. I think what I'm going to do is actually see if I can sit down here someplace. Isn't that nice? It's not this way every day. Sometimes it's overcast, sometimes it's raining, but this is what it can be sometime during the day, and we're entering the season where we can have more of that and we can enjoy more of that. That is, unless you're in a mindset of being locked down or locked up, if you will, as the case may be. It's interesting, the words that we choose. They choose to call this a lockdown, but in agreeing to and complying with the quote-unquote lockdown, you're essentially locking yourself up voluntarily. If there was a real danger, we should all know it. There should not be any doubt. There should not be any conjecture about it. There should be no equivocation. There should certainly be no confirmed instances of cover-ups, of fraud. There certainly should be no instances where someone is, or some agencies are very selectively removing information and also very selectively promoting other information. There shouldn't be evidence of intention to change and to alter statistics and data, particularly, for example, in the medical area where people go in who are already had a number of other conditions which made them potentially even more susceptible to what a new virus might have represented to them. You shouldn't be in a situation where we are being treated as though everyone has equal vulnerability. Our science should make it very, very clear what constitutes a healthy immune system, what needs to be done to maintain that health, and in the absence of such maintenance, what it takes to restore it. Shouldn't be any question about that. But with all the debate, with all the contention back and forth on this, no one's talking about that. Everyone is acting as though the virus itself is the thing. It's the thing that's our concern, when in fact it is not. And it's not enough for me to say it isn't the concern. It's not the point. Being concerned about a virus, even protecting from the virus itself, will not reduce your susceptibility. Because the people who want you to think that the virus is what needs to be protected against are offering remedies that'll make you susceptible to something else. May not be called COVID-19, but you can bet your bottom dollar there will be something else. And I'm not saying this in a conspiratorial context. I'm talking facts. I'm talking reality. I'm saying this because the reason for susceptibility has nothing to do with vaccines. Doesn't even have anything to do with the virus. It has to do with actions, activities that we have grown accustomed to engaging in. It has to do with various practices that we have handed on from generation to generation. And I'll say ill-advised practices, but practices nonetheless. Practices that have become traditions. They have become standards. And our susceptibility, which has declined over generations, our immune system compromising, which has declined, our level of being compromised has continued to go down over the years. Hold on a second. I am watching the video and listening and hearing what I'm saying. And what I'm actually meaning is the actual opposite. When I talk about a level of susceptibility, the level of compromise, The level of susceptibility and compromise of our immune systems has steadily and consistently gone up. Okay? Our immune system function has gone down. The level of susceptibility has increased. So when I mention decline, I'm really meaning increase. It has gone down as a consequence of these actions, these activities, which no one is talking about. That's where the issues are. That's where the opportunity to change and to improve and to turn this thing around is. The only answer is to restore our immune systems. And the only way to restore our immune systems is to restore balance. Not simply within our bodies, but also within our soils. Adding and restoring energy to our water. That's where the answers lie. But we have some people who fancy themselves as pretty informed and pretty enlightened, and they are speculating and planning, and I'll say even getting giggly over the idea of the gargantuan task of producing 14 billion doses of some vaccine that at this moment doesn't even exist. So it's like, do you have a problem with that? Now, the issue is, what do you do about it? What do you do about it? This person and people behind him, or people that he has bought, because you can look at his supporters and you can see their organizations have received hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars to give this person and his views an audience, give him some respect, even though he virtually has no, well, I'll put it this way, I don't care if he's been educated in this area. If his solutions actually worked, if they made sense, I'd be in support of them. But his solutions don't involve my cooperation, my agreement. They made no place for my point of view. And I will promise you that if we had a conversation and we talked about what the real threats are, I can promise you I would take his point of view apart, because it holds no water. It's not just me taking it apart. Anyone who actually understands the real issues can take it apart. And yet those points of views are not being sought. Alternatives that are not so drastic are not even being entertained. And I got a big problem with that. I was going to cut, but guess I'm not now. This is such a beautiful scene. Well, anyway, I'm still here and had some equipment or software stuff to deal with. We've heard about revolutions. You can't go and be an American and not hear about the American Revolution and the description of the conditions that existed at that time. And we listen to those stories, I'll just say, with an idea that it's something that could never happen here, never happen to us. When they talk about the land of the free and the home of the brave, you know, it's said with a certain panache, there's a certain sense of, I want to say, happiness. I won't say pride per se. You know, that is the most, maybe even the easiest to embrace word. But the question is, to what extent does it apply now? Land of the free, home of the brave. You could say that it's the land of the safe if you listen to the people that are trying to encourage you to stay inside, to wear masks, to protect yourself, so to speak, in a false way. Then they want to suggest complying with a plan or a vision that would involve you taking or submitting or complying with the acceptance of a substance, vaccine, some electronics, whatever it is, literally against your will. Your will, in actuality, has not even been considered. This in the land of the free. Now, the thing that I want to say is that this is a scenario that is being openly suggested. I will say even brazenly suggested. It's being done so matter-of-factly that unless you got something going on inside you, unless the arrogance of it doesn't affect you or touch you, unless the ignorance of it isn't like got you in wonder, unless the silence, the silencing of alternate viewpoints in the land where free speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly is supposed to mean something. When you're watching videos of people, generally people in perceived roles of authority, and not just authority, let's talk about authority. It's also roles of trust. They are supposed to be what's called fiduciaries, people who have been entrusted with certain positions, not of authority over us. They don't get the right to tell us to act as though we are, one, stupid, that we are their subjects, and we are to bend to their authority simply because they wear a uniform, have a badge, or have some initials in front of or behind them. If these things, these conditions don't bother you, then that vision, that scenario will just continue to play out for you. You're the creator of your reality, as I'm the creator of mine. We are the creators of our experience. And what someone else wants does not... Oh, watch that. You go, guys. Social distancing. Wow, in style. That was cool. We are the creators of our experience. That person, those people on there were creating a super experience on a super day in a super place. And you know, we're talking about behaviors and stuff here and the effects of those. We can talk about the scientifically the harmful effects of all the behaviors that are being suggested. We're not talking about the mental, emotional, and spiritual effects of them, because those consequences are even greater. All of these things, these purported actions to keep you safe from what? From dying from a disease, when the people who are most susceptible have already succeeded in bringing the viability of their form to within a hair's breadth of death. Those are the ones who are susceptible. It's not someone who has a vital, a healthy immune system, not someone who has balance in their immune system, in their minerals, in their microbes, have take in nourishing foods. People who have cared enough to give themselves real nourishment, they are not at risk here whatsoever. But they are thrown in this homogenization system and act and treated as though it's all the same, when in fact it isn't. What's inside is not the same. The environment inside, the constituents inside is not the same. In the same way that in the parlance of vaccines, we're suggested that we just take it all, whatever it is, we take it all without any oversight, without any discretion as to what's in them. All of these discussions about vaccine safety are more smoke screens to keep from dealing with the salient points of what is in each one. Each one is subject to scrutiny. Each one is subject to some judgment as to its efficacy and what consequence allowing it to go into your body or your child's body will mean to that ecosystem. Because we have ecosystems within us, whether we know it or not, whether we respect them or not. And simply because a habit has been going on for 200 plus years, talking about vaccines, it doesn't mean that it is right today, and it certainly doesn't mean that it is effective. You cannot intelligently argue that vaccines and vaccinations simply in general are safe or even advisable, especially when you're not looking at what's in each and you're not aghast at the gall that someone has to put this stuff into human beings, especially when the foods that we are taking in have no nutrients. So this crap that are in these vaccines have their own damaging consequences to the ecosystem, and then we are grown and have grown accustomed to taking in all kinds of materials masquerading as foods which do not nourish us. And then we wonder why our vitality goes down. We wonder why our skills, our cognitive, our motor skills, our memories, our abilities to discern truth from fiction, they wane. I would have loved to have had a telephoto lens on that, but I didn't. So at any rate, these are some of the things that we're dealing with in these unprecedented times. And one of the things that you can do, and perhaps let's say we can do, is in fact, instead of social distancing, we need to talk to each other more. We need to talk to each other more. And need to also talk to ourselves more, not with words, but with silence. We need to spend more time disconnecting from the fear, disconnecting from the updates, disconnecting from the outrage of others, and connect to the courage that exists within each of us. Yeah, including you. There's a seed of courageousness, let's put it that way, within you, within everyone. There's a seed of intelligence. There's a seed of reason within each of us. We all come with a bullshit meter. The question is, do we use it? The more you use it, the stronger and the more perceptive it gets. The better able it is to guide you if you let it. The other thing that we can do is, when we're in the time that we gain back by not simply dialing in to what we know is fictitious information, it's falsified, it's skewed, and even with all the falsification and skewing, the people who now have commandeered our popular social platforms, they still can't handle you being exposed to the truth. So the other thing you can do is start looking at other platforms, putting your time and attention elsewhere. BitChute is one video platform that you can look into, check out. It's not nearly what YouTube used to be. The YouTube that we liked, that actually was free and open. No, it's not nearly that. But it is a start, because it's you and I that created what YouTube was. It's something else now, and frankly not worth our attention. And I put some of my attention on there too, but I've stopped putting my videos there after they deleted my entire account. All these big time, big viewer YouTubers, seeing their channels go down. I don't know, I never thought of myself as big time, but I had enough on there to be deemed, I guess, heretical. So find other platforms. Library, LBRY, is another one. It's decentralized, it's client-based. If you use it, you literally have an app, and when you watch various videos, you download a copy of it, which is served. You become a node in the network, and you actually can get essentially paid for your willingness to do that in their own crypto coin called library coins, LBRY coins. So I have some videos there. I'm still getting acquainted with it. And another one is called Brighteon, BRIGHTEON.com. I don't have many videos on any of them at this point. I had about 600. But I am beginning to post there. In fact, you'll probably be seeing this on BitChute or Library. At any rate, you are the ones that made YouTube what it is, what made Facebook what it is. I give the creators of Facebook all the credit for putting the interface together, but it's nothing without you and me. Just like MySpace, which was a big deal at one time, is forgotten in many people's minds. It's time to forget YouTube.
Yep, here it is.
And it's time to embrace your own vision. Let's do that. Let's enjoy life. Let's enjoy those qualities that you love about being American and about being human. And I'm going to say,
Sure.
I've said enough.
So hot out.
Thank you for your attention and consideration. Till next time, peace, be well, and I love you all.